What up? Welcome back to the channel. I'm J. We are locked in. This is the Underground Railroad, episode 6, Tennessee Proverbs. Now, the last episode we seen that Cora was captured and they went back to Tennessee, where Ridgway is actually from, and they also had a runaway slave, Jasper, who was starving himself because he ran away from Florida, made it to Tennessee, got caught. He starved himself. He ended up dying because dying a free man is better than living a slave. Now, before we get into this new episode, shout out to the notification gang. If you're new to the channel and be a part of this, hit the subscribe button, turn on your notification bell so you get something every time I upload. Hit that like button. It's the easiest thing you can do. Now, this episode, we get to go forward because we're still wondering, what is he actually doing with Cora? We know we're looking for her mom, but how are we going to get to her? So that's what we're going to do. I'm not going to hold you up anymore. This is episode 6, the Underground Railroad. We start the episode off. Of course, you still got all the smoke and stuff, but this is Jasper where they left him, but it's looking like he may not be dead, or is Cora just thinking? But we get to see Jasper and he's back up. After that, we see a roll of people out in the cotton field. Now, a majority of these people are dead. Now, they actually show Caesar, but they show Lovey. I don't know if Caesar's dead or not, but they show him out here. So all I can put together is she's assuming that he may be dead also, because we see everybody out there, Lovey, a couple of the other runaways, but she just thinking back. So that Jasper, he wasn't alive. We just seen what she was envisioning in her head. Once they finally get to their stomping ground, you know, the old Ridgway house, they actually pull up and the house is still there. Now, we know Ridgway ran away. We know he's from Tennessee. When he gets here, he tells Homer, go ahead and loosen up the shackles a little bit, you know what I'm saying, just a little bit on Cora, but we're going to bring her in the house. So this is where he actually grew up at. Ridgway's walking around the house. It's dark in there. Ain't no candles lit or nothing, but he's just reminiscing like, dang, it's been a while since I've been in here. And you know, when you get back in your home, you've been on the road. Like when I go back to my parents' house, I'm like, this smells like home. It don't smell like California. It smells like home. If you remember back to when Ridgway was younger, there was a young boy that was looking for the spirit. He wanted to see the gray spirit and he had the matches lit over by the well. Well, young Mac, here he is grown up. And if you can see when he's walking, he has that little limp. So he said, oh, I know this ain't who I think it is. How's it going, Ridgway? It means so much to your father that you're back here. And Ridgway's like, I'm not staying here long. So he asked him, are you going to introduce me to your family? Because remember, the people that worked for Ridgway's father were all free. So he's just normal conversation. Oh, it's black folk? Oh, okay, this your family? But he knows that's not his family. He's just being cordial. But you can tell it's still awkward because he knows Ridgway and he's older now. So it's like, hey, man, you made me jump in here, but he doesn't say nothing. So this awkward conversation, like, well, let me get on out of here. I'm gonna go inside. Ridgway has a few things to take care of, and he doesn't really trust Cora yet. We just don't trust her yet because we know every chance Cora gets, she's about to try and hightail it out of here. And with all these free black folk, you don't want to do that because they're gonna be hiding people. They're gonna be helping people. So he takes her to a shed, locks her in there, tells her, I'll be back. The first stop that Ridgway has to go make, he has to go see his mother's gravesite. We know that he's real close to her. That was the only person he really had a relationship. His father, they had one, but it was kind of rocky. His father was molding him to, hey, take over the farm, take over the ranch, take over the house, everything we got, keep the business going. But Ridgway, he didn't want that. He had bigger dreams, bigger aspirations. And his mom was the one he connected to, and he would always talk to her. Ridgway comes back to Cora, and what he does is he brings her a dress, a bucket of water, let her get a little bit of food, and he's like, clean yourself up. Now, if you remember when he was younger, he would go into town and people would make fun of him. Aha, your dad, he's hiring free Negroes. And like, it's nothing to really joke about. He's doing the right thing, but he's cleaning her up because when he goes into town with her and with Homer, you're gonna have to be somewhat good because it's gonna say, hey, look, I may have left, y'all clown me, but I made something of myself. I got some money now. That very barn where he was in there learning how to do the chain links with his father before he ran away. Ding, ding. You know, he used to be the man on the fan to blow the fire. He's in here. He's just pulling on stuff because he's reminiscing again. Dang, I'm back. It's been years since I've been here. The last time I was here, I was a teenager. And now he's just looking at stuff. He picked up the hammer. But of course, his dad's too old to be working on any of this. So it looks like everything's just been sitting out here in the barn. Once they go in town, she does have these shackles on her, but she has on a nice dress. You see Homer next to him, and they're walking through, and all the free blacks, they're just looking like, is that Ridgway? I know this white man from somewhere. But what they haven't seen in years is a black person with chains on them. So you know that's another thing. They're looking like, what the hell is going on here? They get down to the saloon, and once they get in there, Ridgway has them all sit down. Now when he takes off his hat and he looks over at Homer, he's like, you too now, Homer, take your hat off when you get in here. Now the main guy that comes over, it looks like he may own the bar. And Ridgway's like, wait, let me guess, no niggers in here. He's like, oh, I don't care who you are, unless you spending money. I don't see white, black, green, yellow, purple. I don't see none of that. All I see is that silver and gold in your pocket. But what he did want to know is, you got a fever or anything? Yellow fever, the chicken pox, any of that stuff? Because back then it's going to kill you. We seen the lady had the yellow fever. So back then they were going through their own little C-19. But this stuff back then was way deadlier. Because they had like maybe one hospital within the radius of 30, 40, 50, 100 miles. They come in, the lady asks, okay, what do you guys want to drink? And he's starting to order drinks. Let me get some whiskey. Let me get this. Let me get that. Something for the boy. And this is the first time I've seen Homer out of character. He's sitting there and he's singing. And Ridgway's like, hey, boom, he hits the table. Hey, shut up with all that singing. Then he gets up, snatches not Ridgway, but Homer, and takes him over to the corner. I've never seen Homer just disregard anything that Ridgway is saying to him. We're starting to see a different type of connection with Cora and Ridgway. We know Ridgway needs Cora to help find her mom, right? Now, Cora is trying to understand what's going on with Ridgway. She's saying, okay, your mama stayed here. Your dad stayed here. Why did you leave Tennessee? You looks like you're the only scared one. You don't want to stay here and work through your problems to try to get to the next day. And Ridgway's like, oh, that isn't the case. But you mean run away like how your mama left you? Because he always throws that back in her face. Ridgway does admit, the reason I came back is because I came to pay my respects, pretty much, for his father and everything else that went on. So Cora's saying, so you are human, but you're really a murderer. I thought you was just a murderer. And he says, nah, Cora, we are murderers. You killed that young white boy. And she's like, he wasn't so little. Now, my only thing about that is she was doing what she had to do to survive. The only thing I can say for the young white child is he was young and brainwashed by the adults that didn't inform him on right from wrong. So all he knew was that. He may not wanted to be out there, but he knew damn well is go capture this black lady or my dad's gonna whoop on me. But she killed him. She did what she had to do to survive. Now, that's just tough. We refer over to Homer for the definition of manifest destiny. And to sum it up, manifest destiny means if you believe something is yours, it's rightfully yours. Go get it and own it. And Ridgway starts to break down how the French gave up stuff, how Mexico with the Louisiana trade purchase, they gave up land to give to America. Everybody gives up stuff, but if you feel like you own something, which white people felt like they own slaves, then you own slaves. And that's what Ridgway was trying to tell his father when they were younger. Remember, he said we shouldn't be hiring free people. Those black people should be slaves. He then goes on to give us a history lesson of how the weak are sorted out. One, that trip that they take on the slave ship over here, most of them, they just don't make it because they're not getting fed. They're not getting the proper exercise. Of course, I said nutrition, but also they're getting wiped out by the smallpox that came from Europe. This disease that's introduced into black people, also into the Native Americans, is killing them all off. So Ridgway's saying, out of that, we get to have our selection out of all the strong black people. He just said the reason he brought Cora the dress is to have her dressed up because he's picturing her mama all dressed up to be presented back to her master once he captures her. So he's taking the daughter, put her in a dress, like, okay, yeah, I can see your mama and you. Ooh, I'm so close to getting her and turning her in. Ridgway then took like 8 or 9 shots now. This stuff isn't distilled. It's all straight shots, no mixer. They head on back to the house. Now, at this point, when he locks Cora up, he starts to tell her the story about what happened to Caesar. I know we all wanted to know what happened to Caesar. Now, when they were in South Carolina, you remember he went up on him inside of the dorm and he talked to him and he found out who he was. Now, he drug him outside and all of the other blacks, they just watched. Couldn't do nothing, of course, just how it is. But they get outside, it's a small crowd. But then word got around that he was wanted in Georgia for killing a white kid, the one that Cora killed. So at that point, they locked him up, put him in a cell. The sheriff opened up the jail cell and the people just stormed the jail and they ended up ripping Caesar apart. So it's unfortunate he went out like that. We don't know if it's true, but we did see Caesar in the beginning of the episode out in the field of dead people. So it may be true. They get in the house and Ridgway's showing her a few things in the kitchen and in the dining room. And she's looking at the stuff like, well, what the hell is this? And he's like, yeah, I never thought much of this either. But he takes his belt off and his gun is down here on the table. So we know that this is going to lead to one or two things, and it may not end up good for somebody, but this is foreshadowing for something else. Ridgway goes upstairs and he takes Cora with him to show her his dad and show why he actually came back. Now his dad, he seems very sick. We know Mac said he had to go upstairs and look after him, and it would mean a lot for Ridgway Jr. to be here. Now his dad is in the bed and he's not saying anything, and Ridgway is just getting so frustrated, so he's yelling over him and saying, I'll be the priest. Just say it, Dad. Just say it, that there isn't a great spirit. Just say it. And his dad rolls over and looks at him, and you can tell he's near his last breath, but all he says is, I wish I could have done more to mold you into the man that you should have been instead of this guy that you are now. And then he starts gasping for air and stuff, pretty much saying he knows he failed. He couldn't do the job that his wife could have did to raise him the way he's supposed to be raised, and to actually love people and see that there is a great spirit. Ridgway sees this and he's like, oh shoot. He picks up the candle and backs up. He takes Cora and they get up out of there because he don't know what the hell's going on. He's just here and angry and frustrated and drunk. Ridgway takes Cora up out the room and they go into another one of the rooms. It looks like it may be his old bedroom, but Cora's in here screaming and stuff. No. He's covering her mouth because now he's looking at her like, hey, you got to be quiet because you don't want to wake my dad. You don't want to wake him up. He's basically in denial. Like, hey, your dad, this may be the end of him, and you're talking about you're going to wake him up. He's very sick. So he ends up chaining her up to the bed. So she doesn't know what's going on, especially when the man is drunk. You don't know what's going on, but he's just chaining her up so she won't run away. He actually gets in the bed with her and just lays next to her and passes out. Uh-oh. Remember I told you something showing foreshadowing until later on because the gun was left on the table? Well, we got three men coming in here in the middle of the night and they got these muskets out. These rifles about to be loud as hell if they get to shooting inside of a house. You remember the gentleman that they walked past when they were going to the saloon earlier? Well, they came in here and they freed our girl Cora. So they unhandcuffed her and they put the shackles onto Ridgway. And when they were walking out, one of the dudes with the rifle had that thing pointed on his face. Say something. Go ahead, say something. Say something. It's gonna be on, Ridgway. It's gonna be on. Now, most of these black people, they probably have respect for Ridgway's dad. They remember Ridgway from when they were younger. And they're like, man, we're gonna get back at this guy. Because why does he have slaves or any black people chained up in this city? But they free Cora, so that's the good thing. This group of men, they're getting the horses ready. It's time to get up out of here. But Cora, she runs back to the house and the guy says, hey, whoa, what are you doing? She's like, man, he's drawing breath. As long as he's living and I'm running, he's going to be after me. He's trying to get my mom. So this guy's saying, hey, do you know what it means to kill a white man? And of course, Cora does. She got a body on her already. But he's like, look, if you're going to do it, I'm going to go with you because he wants to make sure it's done correctly because he lives here. She don't. Just as I suspected, once they go back in the house, they're trying to go finish Ridgway off. But Mac is in the hallway. He's like, look, I can't let y'all go back upstairs. This house is mourning. And whatever beef you got with him, you can't do that. Cora, you need to get on the train tonight and keep it moving. Now, the other man that's with Cora is like, hey, Mac, this business ain't got nothing to do with you, but he can't leave that house alive. And what Mac is saying is, look, Ridgway's dad did so much for his family, took care of him, helped him, nursed him back from when his son did that to him. So you can't judge. You know what I'm saying? You can't judge the father off of what his son did. He tried his best, and Mac seen that. But Mac did also promise that, hey, I won't let Ridgway leave here alive. So I don't know what he's going to do, but he's like, you can't go up here and kill him. Not while his dad's still in the house. Come on now. Now, they actually got a full train station down here. Bar, little bakery. This is upscale. Okay. And even Mac knew about it, but Mac ain't leave because Ridgway treated his family so good and he was staying on that property. But the man that was with Cora, his name is Royal. Now we need to talk to Mr. Thompson, the train station agent, because we got to keep documents of whoever gets on this train, regardless of where they're going. Mr. Thomas is like, oh, I didn't expect any guests tonight. Train to be here shortly. Everybody else is joking because for them, they've been down here before and this is a safe haven for them. They're like, oh, we heard that before. But he tells Cora, I need your testimony. So she gets over there. She's like, don't worry about it, y'all. I can go do it. And she goes over there and she starts writing for herself. And here comes the train. You know, that's got to be one of the best feelings. Like, oh my goodness. I could relax a little bit, get on this train and get to the next destination. But as long as I'm making distance from here in Ridgeway, then that's all I'm looking forward to. And all these men, they're well dressed and they get on the train and they just chilling because they done been on the train before. This is normal to them. The reason Mac made that promise is because he wanted to be the one to get rid of Ridgeway for everything that he did. So he goes up to the room. Oh man, drunk Ridgeway's like, hey Mac, you got to teach me not to drink the liquor. You might have to go get a chisel or something so we can get me out these chains. And Mac sits down and he says, your dad wasn't trying to hurt you. He was just trying to teach you how to be something you weren't. And this is what leads Ridgeway into saying, well, he always liked you more than he liked me. He could see the great spirit in you. He couldn't see it in me. Mac says, did you come here to pay your respects? Ridgeway like, yeah. So did you do it? Because Mac wants to, hey, you know, I'm going to kill you. I want to be the one to get rid of you. Ridgeway's like, yeah, I paid my respects. So he's like, all right. Ridgeway said, hey, man, can I at least get one whiskey before I go? You know, one last whiskey for old time's sakes. And this, Mac shouldn't have did it, man. Bad decision. He goes downstairs. He's lighting up a candle to take back upstairs. He's getting a bottle of whiskey, about to make a shot for him. And unfortunately, it was a different shot. Young Homer laid him down. One shot, pow, to the chest. Oh, man, you should. People in movies, TV shows, always take the first opportunity to get rid of somebody. Don't let them sit around because it never ends good for you. Homer, super loyal. What does he do? Comes upstairs with the bottle of whiskey, makes a cup for his boss. They sit on that bed together, and now the hunt is back on. They should have just went ahead and got rid of Ridgeway when they first went up there and they got Cora. Damn. There you go, episode 6 of Underground Railroad. Let me know what you think. Do you think Mac should have went ahead and just got rid of him when they were having the one-on-one? Why would you go make him another whiskey? But let me know what you guys think. That's episode 6. If you like the content on the channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. I'm J. I'm out.
Jimmy on the beat, boy.